I think we can all agree that pizza is great. The crust, the cheese, it's all good. Well, Far Cry is like pizza. You know what you're gonna get, and Far Cry 6 has all the right ingredients that offers a new flavour, while improving upon elements that make it a worthy installment in this beloved franchise. Welcome to Yara, a gorgeous and rich tropical island filled with dense vegetation, native wildlife and engaging characters, all under the oppressive rule of one tyrannic and merciless dictator, Anton Castillo. I do have to kick things off by mentioning I haven't rolled credits on the game just yet. According to the save data, I'm sitting at 84% story completion, but I'm really just trying to take my time and savor each moment with all the side content before wrapping things up. But that won't stop me from sharing my thoughts so far on the latest adventure by Ubisoft Toronto and Ubisoft Montreal. It's been said ad nauseum by many people over the past few installments that each Far Cry game is just a reiteration of the ones that came before it, but in a new location. And for the most part, Far Cry 6 is exactly what you might have been trained to expect from this franchise. It takes heavy inspiration from Far Cry 3 and doubles down on what fans love about it. We get a combination of dark thematics with the jovial and comedic side missions that the series is known for. And when I say dark, there is some dark shit in there. There were literally moments where my jaw was on the ground even from early on. The writers were not scared of going to those places and also throwing in some unexpected curveballs throughout the story. And this is what is so exciting about Far Cry 6. You're playing a first-person shooter where the gunplay has been improved dramatically on console, the best the Far Cry has ever felt. The 60 frames per second you get on the PS5 makes for a smooth and responsive experience that runs well on the hardware. Yet it's those bloody cutscenes that feature Giancarlo and his Machiavellian leadership style that you crave, that push you on through the game. They are plentiful and occur in a cadence that most people will find pleasing.
Yara did not elect me to do what's easy, but to do what's right.
The cutscenes are like a fine treat that you are rewarded with after doing some groundwork and building up a resistance in each of the 3 large key areas surrounding the capital. You are free to tackle the areas in any order of your choosing, and these areas also contain character stories which are compelling in their own right. Most of the people you meet are strong and emotionally charged, with 1 or 2 incessant support characters that don't quite hit the mark.
Come drink with me!
But by and large, the performances of the cast range from average to very well done. My choice of protagonist was female Dani, who is very well acted. There are moments where Dani goes through hell in the much appreciated third-person cutscenes, which is a direct response to the criticism of Far Cry 5, where we played as a vapid and silent protagonist exclusively in first-person perspective. To my surprise, the cutscenes did suffer from frame rate stuttering, which will hopefully be ironed out soon, but fortunately I didn't experience any issues during the actual gameplay. You also get a third-person perspective during the world's several hub areas. As there is a lot of customization, you can tell this feature is clearly intended to allow the player to appreciate their own style and promote collecting gear. But the choice of angle honestly felt awkward while it was happening because you still interface with objects in the same way as you normally would, but in a less effective way. If you're not mainlining the story, you will spend most of your time building up your various hideouts, running repetitive text-based missions for resources, meeting other interesting Yarans and learning about their place in the world, taking out AA guns, solving small puzzles or treasure hunts, and hanging out with your amigos.
Good dog. Good dog.
Sadly, your companions are limited to only the animal variety, and I miss the company of human guns for hire, who could have offered a richer experience through evolving dialogue throughout the game. I was also a little disappointed when it came to the depth of what is possible while taking on the president. The bribery that was promised is basically just finding a random sympathetic soldier on a corner and paying him 20 pesos to point out a point of interest somewhere on the map. And interception is simply a time trial to get from A to B and fend off some bad guys before collecting some loot. This is perhaps a missed opportunity to create a deeper system that could expand the purview of future Far Cry games. In terms of combat, I'm having a lot of fun here. Each area has a different rank number that determines the difficulty of the occupying soldiers, but a skillful player will be able to survive even the toughest of areas. Enemies also have different weaknesses that you'll want to exploit by switching up your weapons on the fly. You can see the different classes depicted here on a workbench. Armor-piercing bullets are effective against heavy types, while soft target rounds will rip through enemies that don't wear sufficient protection. Keep in mind though that a headshot is a headshot if you want to avoid wasting entire mags on well-prepared soldiers. You'll also be kept on your toes when engineers start placing turrets on the battlefield or when air support shows up as your heat meter rises through general hostility and non-compliance. This is when those EMP grenades and the unique Supremo backpacks become extremely helpful. And progression in Far Cry 6 is all done through gear upgrades. As you rank up through completing missions, better gear will be made available to you. There isn't a traditional skill tree, rather you will need to complete various activities to earn the rare materials and return to your workbench to make the improvements. Ubisoft has put great emphasis on tons of gear and customization in this game, and everything can be cosmetically altered to your specific taste without changing the inherent stats of your loadout. I find this change of pace works well, but I kind of do miss the XP you would normally gain from killing enemies. It leaves me feeling a little ripped off after wiping out hundreds of soldiers only to be rewarded with a few pesos and ammo pickups. Overall, the presentation of the game is stunning in 4K. A lot of work was put into the environment, weapons, cosmetics and visual effects, though the city density left much to be desired when very few people could actually be seen wandering the streets during the day. Big shout out to the team for including an extensive accessibility menu and also a neat feature in photo mode called Live Mode. This is where you can get creative and capture live motion with a movable camera. Massive respect to the sound design team and Foley artists too. The sounds are incredible with a good set of headphones. The jungle sounds alive and the cracking headshot sounds and blood spraying takedowns are immensely satisfying. And the score is masterfully done. The way the music creates tension throughout a stealth mission and adds layers and builds tempo through high action gameplay gave me chills on multiple occasions. It won't have the lasting effect the melodic banjo from Far Cry 5 had, but it does match the serious tone this dark story demands. I'm not sure what kind of healthcare Anton's government offers their workers, but they must all suffer from short-sightedness as enemy sight lines are very forgiving, while your so-called allies will sometimes annoyingly refuse to move out of the way or lead the way during critical moments. There's tons of content packed into Far Cry 6, with even more stuff in the pipeline. To be clear, this is not a story about Dani. This is a story about Yara, its history, and the history of the Castillo family. Sure, there are some political statements regarding the systemic racism that exists in America.
Smile while they tell us to go back to where we came from? The American dream doesn't come in our color.
But the main message is mostly on the dangers of totalitarian governments and its many tentacles that control everything from the top down. As they say, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Dani Rojas is just the catalyst that kicks things off and the conduit for us to experience the marvelous world that has been created. The Far Cry series is what we call a known quantity. Ubisoft know what they have on their hands, and you can count on them to deliver a solid and unwavering 8 out of 10 game every time. They respectfully aren't trying to change the formula too much, and always deliver new flavours of delicious pizza every time. Despite its minor hang-ups, Far Cry 6 refines the franchise's shooting mechanics, tells a compelling dark story, and teaches me fun new Spanish curse words to use in my daily vernacular.
Coño, coño. Ni pinga. I bet this fucking boat will sink halfway to Miami.